Hello, I'm Greg Mehlin, and welcome to Cinema Sit Down, a show where myself and other film buffs come together to talk movies. Today we'll be discussing the latest installment in the long-running James Bond franchise, No Time to Die. Co-written and directed by Cary Joji Fukunaga, the film stars Daniel Craig in his swan song as the famous MI6 agent. James Bond comes out of retirement for one last mission, facing off against a powerful new adversary while simultaneously sorting out his troubled personal life. Joining me in today's discussion are Liam Plate and Blaise Cauvin. How you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited to be here.
I'm doing good too. I'm very excited to talk about this movie. I'm glad I was able to see it very closely as soon after it came out. So I'm excited.
All right, that's great. Well then, let's just get right into our initial thoughts on it. What did you guys think of No Time to Die?
I personally really enjoyed it. I felt like I was engaged the whole time. Super action packed, and I mean, there wasn't really like any point where I was like, oh, like I could sleep during this movie. Like I just felt like I was enjoying it the whole way through, honestly.
Yeah, I liked it too. I think it had a lot of action in it and it had a lot of different plot points that turned out to be interesting. So I did really like it. I did enjoy it, I would say.
All right, and I guess I'm gonna sort of play heel on this one because I also enjoyed the movie, but I am a little bit mixed on it. Like, there's some things I thought like, oh, that's great, and there's some I thought like, I wasn't really feeling that. So I'll discuss that in more detail as we go along. But so moving on for more specific thoughts, what did you guys think were like the highlights of No Time to Die? And I'll be discussing that too. But since I'm a little more mixed, I'm also going to mention some stuff that I didn't quite care for.
Yeah. So I mean, once again, like I just like the action all around was really good. Like the stunts and everything. CGI I thought was really good, and I really enjoyed like the performances. I thought the cast was amazing. Um, Daniel Craig I thought killed it as Bond, and yeah, I mean I really just liked seeing him as Bond. Thought it was like a good ending.
Yeah, I think it had a lot of, I think the highlights of it. I will agree with Blaise. I do think the cast was very good. I think it was well acted. I obviously I really like Daniel Craig. I was a big fan of Ana de Armas's role in it as well. I did like Ray Fiennes too as M. Of course, I think he did a great job as always. But and then again, the action was great too. Um, I do like how it kind of like brought up stuff from some past movies into it as well from Craig's former one. So kind of intertwining the movies that you had to kind of go back and watch the other ones to understand some stuff. So I do think it was overall it was great, and those were just some highlights, I believe.
All right, so I will agree with you guys. I think that the action here is really strong stuff, especially like that first sequence. And the cast is, of course, very strong. A lot of different players featured in this one. Obviously, the best part of it being Daniel Craig, who is just an excellent Bond. He's no matter the quality of what film he's in, he kills this role. For me, one downside I will say, so it's a very long movie and it like feels like a very long movie, and I'm not entirely sure like what I would have said like, oh well, maybe that should be cut out of it, but it did feel its time a lot. And well, moving into another topic, then I will say, and I'll start this one off, the plot, which I thought this was uh, an interesting plot. Like it was one of the more personal films in the series, and it's heavily relying on his previous films for you to really get it. It's not a standalone one, but I did think that it was solid throughout, and then in the third act, like it got a little bit muddy, kind of like, and I can discuss this further with another element that I didn't actually care for. The one that was the big con for me outside of the rest of it, which I thought was all solid.
Yeah, I mean, I thought a couple plot points were a little predictable. Um, One being with Bond's love interest. Um, yeah, I thought you could kind of see that coming from a mile away. And I mean, yeah, like you said, like the ending definitely got a little muddy. It was definitely like an interesting ending. But yeah, I mean, still enjoyable. I know we'll probably get into the ending a little more later down in the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say there's definitely some plot points I think were like kind of just thrown in, and that were kind of like didn't really seem to have like a, I don't know, like a real, I don't want to say real purpose, but kind of like was kind of like just something they threw in. I think specifically the one plot point with the one CIA agent Logan Ash, I think that one was kind of just like thrown in a little bit. It was like give you a reason to hate someone kind of thing. I think that one stuck out to me with that, but and then again, like you guys said, interesting ending. But I would say that like I do agree with what you're saying, Greg, is that it's like there was a couple plot points that was just like kind of thrown together and just like it was all over the place, to be honest, sometimes.
Well, all right. So then moving on to the cast and characters then, and I'll let one of you guys start this. What did you think of, the performances and the characters as written and all that? Who did you think were highlights? Who did you maybe want to see more of? Was there anyone that you didn't particularly care for?
Well, one thing like right off the bat, I thought it would have been nice to see Ana de Armas a little more in the movie. Her role was very brief. Um, I definitely feel like she could have she could have fit in somewhere down the line, later in the movie. But I mean, overall, like I thought Christoph Waltz, he's always enjoyable. He doesn't have too much screen time, but he definitely like steals the scene whenever he's on screen, I feel like. I thought Rami Malek also did a really good job as like the main villain. And then like yeah, it was interesting to see like how they shifted from like Blofeld to Safin, right? I believe that's his name.
Yes.
Rami Malek. Um, yeah, I like that tie-in for sure. I thought that was good, and like the way they included that in the beginning, to really establish that.
Yeah, I would agree that I do think that Ana de Armas's role definitely could have been utilized more. To be honest, I just really liked her character. I thought she was good, and her and Bond in action together, they really worked together with good chemistry. Um, and to be honest, the way they marketed it is that you kind of had the idea that she was going to be a main character and a main actress in it, kind of. So at least that's what I got from when they marketed the movie. And then I will say Rami Malek, I think he was a very good choice for the Bond because he just has that creepy look to him, like, and especially, and he's such a good actor too that he's able to play that kind of role that it really made for him to be a well-developed character as well. And I think one character I always enjoy in every movie is Q. I don't know. He just brings something to the table. Like, of course, his gadgets and stuff like that. But I do like the way Ben Whishaw plays him as this in this version of him.
All right. So like I said before, I think that this is a really good cast. But also, as I also said, there's a lot of characters here, so it felt like a lot of them who are played really well and written well, like they're sort of underutilized. Like I can say that about a bunch of characters, like Naomi Harris, as you guys said, Anna Darmus, Jeffrey Wright, some more, like all very good, but I wanted more from them in this. I did think that Leia Sadu as like the character Madeline, like I was not she was not a character that I thought in the previous one was particularly interesting, but I found her more so here. I think they gave her more to do, a more active role that was good. M, played by Ray Fiennes, was mentioned before. Ray Fiennes is always excellent in whatever he does. I thought that this was his best outing as the character. I actually, I have to go with a hard disagree though on Rami Malek though. I'm sorry guys, I did not feel his performance much here. I thought he was very awkward, and I did not like this villain because I had a very hard time telling what exactly he was trying to do. Like, they set up his feud with Spectre early on, and I got that. but then as it went on, like then they introduced other motivations. One of them was sort of like foreshadowed very early on, I guess, but I thought it still kind of came out of nowhere. And then there's like his final plan, which like even after reading a bit about it, I sort of just kind of think to myself, what exactly was he trying to do there? And with the mention of Christoph Waltz, actually, I thought that I would have preferred seeing more of him in this as the main villain, because Blofeld is like, the big recurring villain of the Bond movies, and Christoph Waltz played him very well in the previous film, where he also didn't really have too much screen time. And I would have liked to see that more here, especially since it's the last of like Daniel Craig's Bond films, if like he went out going up against his more personal arch enemy. But moving on though from that, did you guys have any specific opinions on the writing or direction? And I'll start this one then, because I thought that this was film where the direction sort of outshowed the writing, where I thought it's all very, very well done from a technical standpoint. The music, the cinematography, the editing, all very solid stuff. I thought that Cary Fukunaga did a great job there. I specifically liked the way that he like put a lot of focus at different times on like James Bond's eyes. I thought that made for a very cool visual. How about you guys?
Yeah, so like talking about writing, maybe I feel like Rami Malek, maybe it wasn't really like his acting, more so like writing for his character that made him like a little stiff. But yeah, I do see what you're saying, like what you mentioned about like his like grand plan. Like I feel like the writing definitely could have been better in terms of like what his ultimate goal was, and like it would have been nice to maybe see like a little like plot twist where Blofeld like takes over, like you said, where he has like more screen time. But yeah, I mean, I still felt like visually everything was nice. Like there's actually one scene where it was where Bond is like in the or he's going up the stairwell, and they drop like grenades and he like gets stunned. That was actually like all one shot, like where they drop it from like the point he gets like blown back and then like makes his way up. And honestly, like I didn't even notice really at the time, but in my film production class, Professor Pace mentioned that, and I thought it was like definitely really interesting because it was flawless and I didn't even notice at the time.
Yeah, I think the cinematography in this film was beautiful. I think the landscapes and where they chose to shoot, I think was beautiful, specifically when they were in Italy. I think that was absolutely gorgeous. And a lot of great scenes there, running with Bond, trying to get away and chase the bad guys. I think the way they followed him too, I think was good. And I will agree with you, Blaise. I do think that the camera movements were great too. Specifically that whole sequence towards the end when Bond's going up that stairwell, I think was really cool. I really like the way it was shot and the way they followed him too. And Greg, I will say that is one thing I did notice, is that in every single shot, Daniel Craig's bright blue eyes are highlighted. It's like they're just trying to make a point of it. And I did notice that in every single shot where you could see his eyes, where he wasn't wearing sunglasses or anything, and it was daytime out, like his baby blues were out there. So I did think that was funny that they made sure to make a point of highlighting that every time.
Yeah. So then moving on from that, how do you guys think that this film compares to the other Bond movies, specifically Daniel Craig's?
So I actually just watched Skyfall yesterday, and I honestly enjoyed No Time to Die more than Skyfall, I would say. I haven't seen Spectre recently, so that's definitely something I will be doing this weekend, is watching that. But I don't know. I would say it was pretty close to like Casino Royale. That was just another one of his films that I really enjoyed as Bond. And then Quantum of Solace was definitely like my least favorite, but I would definitely like match it up with Casino Royale.
I would say out of Daniel Craig's 5 Bond films, I would put this one at number 3 for me. I'd say my top 2 would still be Skyfall and Casino Royale. I really liked I think No Time to Die was a good film, but I do just like, I mean, Casino Royale is just my all-time favorite one. Like, I feel like that whole story, the way the acting in it, and just everything. I love everything about that film. And Skyfall is another personal favorite for me. I really like that one too. I think Javier Bardem was great in that one. I think he really made some of the movie for me. But then personally, I think Spectre for me was just kind of forgetful movie. I don't remember the last time I saw it or watched it, which that might be why, but I don't. I remember I wasn't a huge fan of that one. Of course, I did like it though because I like Daniel Craig Bond movies. So, I think I would have to agree with you, Blaise. I think that's a consensus. Quantum of Solace is the worst of the Daniel Craig Bond films.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Quantum of Solace is, you know, I haven't seen it in years. I don't plan to really see it again. That's not a very good one. So this is definitely far ahead of that. I personally say that this is sort of on a similar level to Spectre, which I think it's solid, but it's not something that really gets as much passion on me as some like Casino Royale or Skyfall, which I think are two really top-notch films, especially Skyfall. That's my personal favorite of Daniel Craig's. But you know, even though I don't think that this is at the top of his level here, I still think that it's, you know, Quantum of Solace shows it can be much much worse, and I think that it was a solid one for him to go out on. Speaking of that, how did you guys feel about how this film really wrapped up Daniel Craig's tenure as the character of James Bond? I'll go here. So I thought that they did a pretty good job of it, but I was left sort of wanting more on that front because like it's all done well, but as the film was wrapping up, and I thought to myself, like, you know, this is the last I'm going to see of Daniel Craig's Bond. I sort of thought, like, maybe I feel like I should be more emotional about this than I actually was, even though I still liked what they did. So, how about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was overall like fairly like a satisfying ending. There, like you said, there definitely could have been like a more like emotional pull from the audience. And I know like they definitely tried to do that. But it was definitely like interesting to see like how they ended it. And I'm personally like going to be sad to see like a different Bond, but I am hopeful for the future. I already know there's like some good actors on the list for the future Bond, but I would say yeah, kind of 50-50 on the ending. I think it could have been better, but I'm still happy with what we got.
Yeah, I think overall a solid film for Daniel Craig to go out on. I I saw this movie. I saw this movie the Sunday after it came out, and I still don't know how I feel about the ending. I still don't. It was it's just it was something I really wasn't expecting, but so I think it was a good one for him to go out on, but the ending overall was of the actual film. I'm still not sure how to feel about it.
Yeah. So, but as one Bond goes away, then another will come in. There already is all this talk about who is the next James Bond going to be. It's been going on quite a bit actually the last year since this was supposed to be released last year. But so, who would you guys like to see become the next James Bond?
I've already seen like rumors of like Idris Elba, Tom Hardy, even like Cillian Murphy. And I think they're all like pretty good choices. Although I would say like I could see Cillian Murphy more as like a Bond villain personally. I think he'd be much better as a villain. But I think like Idris Elba or Tom Hardy would be two solid choices.
Yeah, I really hope it's Idris Elba. I remember when I first heard the rumor of him doing it, and at that point I had only seen him really in, of course, The Office when he did his guest spot there, and then in the Thor movies. But then after I watched the show he has on BBC, Luther, and after watching that, I'm like, I can definitely see Idris Elba being James Bond. So I'm really pulling for Idris Elba. I'm a big fan of Tom Hardy too. I could definitely see him being a good one too, but I really think Idris Elba would be a perfect choice for it.
So I'm gonna say, so I think that Idris Elba would be an excellent James Bond, but the thing that holds him back from being my favorite is that I can't remember how old he is, but he's already like sort of a bit into middle age at this point, and so if he played Bond, then unless if he ages magnificently and he's like in his 60s and still looks like he's 40, then I feel like we would only be able to have him for a short amount of time. And I would personally like a Bond who could be around for a bit longer than that, which is why I'm actually going with Henry Cavill, who I've heard a lot of rumors about. And I think that he's just somebody who has just that look and that charisma, and and he's a bit on the younger side, so he could stick around for it. I think that he could really nail the character of Bond if given the chance. But so going back to the current movie, though, what are you guys' closing thoughts on No Time to Die? And I'll go. Like I said, I'm a little bit mixed on this. I'm sorry that I'm sort of the party pooper on this. I'm sorry that I didn't like Rami Malek. I like him in other stuff. I don't know, but I still do think that this is a solid film. I didn't love it like I love Casino Royale or Skyfall, but I did walk out of it having enjoyed myself and being content with the end of this tenure, which it's really the end of an era. The guy's been playing James Bond for like what, 15 years, and I'm going to recommend the film because of that, because this is the only time that we've actually seen a real goodbye for James Bond. Every other actor for it was just like, all right, so they quit or they got fired or whatever between the movies. This actually tries to do something that was totally new for the franchise, and I like that. So again, what are your guys' closing thoughts, and would you recommend No Time to Die?
Yeah, so I think overall it caps off the series in a nice way. Fun for fans to watch. If I had to give it like an overall letter grade, I'd probably give it like an A minus. Definitely things like they could have done better, but given like the circumstances and like the overall span of all 5 movies, I would say it was a good ending. And I would definitely recommend it to friends. I already have. And yeah, I enjoyed watching it.
I would say an overall good movie. I mean, I've seen some of the older Bond movies, and I with some of the other actors, and I will say hands down, Daniel Craig is my favorite Bond. I think it was a good, obviously, still some mixed feelings about the ending, but I do think an overall solid movie for him to go out on, and I would recommend it. I would recommend any of Daniel Craig's James Bond film except for Quantum of Solace to anyone, but I think this is a good one, and I would recommend people to see it, and I think a solid movie for him to go out on.
All right. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for being on the show, guys. You did a great job. That was Cinema Sit Down. That's the end of it, and stay tuned for more episodes.